Because what we see on TV and what happens in practice are two different things. So Hey faves, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Malifa Dlamini if you're new here, and if you're coming back, welcome. If you're new here, there is absolutely nothing that will make me more happier than you subscribing to my channel, so please subscribe. So as you've already seen from the title of the video, today I will be talking about becoming a candidate attorney in South Africa and giving you a few tips that I know of to be beneficial to secure articles in South Africa. So without any further ado, I would like to get straight into it. Just before that, let me actually make a disclaimer to say that this is solely my opinion, and you can take it, don't take it, use it, don't use it. It's absolutely up to you. But I am here to share with you what actually worked for me. So without any further ado, let's get straight right into it. But before that, please click that subscribe button so that I can start. Thank you. So becoming a candidate attorney in South Africa, I have my laptop in front of me, which has my key points so that I do not forget everything that I want to do. Remember, in order to become a candidate attorney in South Africa, you need to have LLB. I got a DM from someone asking me if they will be able to get articles with BCom law. That I am not certain of, and I will make it clear when I really do not know something that I actually do not know of that, or I am not yet aware of that. But I do know that usually for candidate attorneys, you are required to have LLB. If you have BA degree, then you must proceed to do LLB. So firstly, you need to have LLB. And in order for you to get to LLB, that's just basics. I guess you would have to check the prospectus of the university in which you want to study LLB at. I'll be sharing a little bit of stories so that you guys understand. I personally feel like I wasn't so informed when I started doing LLB, or when I followed this route. I feel like there was so much more that could have been done, right? I feel like I could have learned more. I feel like I could have done my research properly. And I'll tell you what, and this is not even meant to threaten anyone or anything, but had I known, I would have chosen a different route. I honestly would have. But anyway, I'm happy and I'm doing really well. So I think that it works to a certain extent, But anyway, I'll tell you one of the tips that works for me was getting a VAC work while I was doing LLB. So it's not easy to actually get a VAC work, but VAC work makes it easy for you to understand the working environment, to build relationship with the law firms, and understand what is actually happening, So I honestly highly recommend that you put an effort in getting a VAC work in your varsity days. I mean, even if they call you ambitious, in first year, get a VAC work. That way you'll be able to understand how the environment works, what is actually done in practice, because what we see on TV and what happens in practice are two different things. So I highly recommend that you familiarize yourself with the working environment. So you can do so by visiting different law firms and going to a request to do a VAC work. I don't think lawyers are stingy people, especially with assisting candidate attorneys with shadowing and stuff. All you have to do is don't even request for money, because I think most of the time the reason the law firms would not take VAC works is because people are expecting to be paid, to be remunerated, because to a certain extent you'll be assisting them with work, but do it for free if you have to. If you do get the ones that are willing to pay, then that's good. I did my VAC work in legal aid in Mafikeng in the year, I honestly don't remember, but I think I was in third year or fourth year. I did my VAC work there. I wasn't getting paid. I'd just go to their office, watch what they do, give me some files to work on, but I'm not even working at legal aid. I've never worked at legal aid like employed or did my candidate attorney route in legal aid, but that will increase an opportunity for you to actually get hired at that particular firm. So I highly encourage that you actually go that route. 2, familiarize yourself with courts is another point. Firstly, I believe that in every place that we live in, there is supposed to be a court around your neighborhood, even if it's like a bit far. But I highly encourage that you familiarize yourself with the courts, because honestly, that's where you actually see the real action happening. At the offices, you'll obviously get to see what they do, but the one part that you would want to familiarize yourself with is what actually happens in court. Listen to court cases, you know. So what I used to do was, when I was in Freiburg home, I would literally go to court during holidays, go listen to cases, follow attorneys around, you know, just ask questions. And I know there are people that are always willing to help at the courts, you know. Learn different cases, learn your areas of expertise, because that's where you're actually able to understand, oh no, this particular one will actually interest me. So I highly recommend that you actually familiarize yourself with the court, that you also know what is actually happening in the court, know what is in court, like the physical part of the court and the rules, you know. You familiarize yourself with the etiquettes of the court, you know. You learn that when people get in court, you bow down, you know. Those are the things that might be interesting to some people. I know people who actually get fascinated by us bowing when we get to court, which I don't get and I don't like. But anyway, you get to learn what is actually happening in court and practice that as well. And then another point would be to do moot court. When I was in varsity, I actually did moot court. Moot court is not compulsory, at least at my varsity it wasn't compulsory. So you had to either choose it as a module, and I did that. And to be honest, it was one module that I did not like with everything in me, because they give you like a lot of work. They give you like it's basically literal court, you know. You draft heads of arguments, you argue cases, you know. And right there and then I was like, you know what, I don't want to be in the court environment. But I knew that was because I wasn't so prepared for the work that happens behind the court, you know. So I guess maybe you should also know this as a point, that what happens during court proceedings is very different from what happens in the office. Most work is actually happening at the office. I also remember my principal told me when I got here, because I used to be, no, I want to go to court, you know. And he used to say, you need to get your things together, because honestly most of the work is going to be happening in the office, and that's where your focus should be. So learn if you have to, and you better love the work at the office, because that's what will now the court is actually a cherry on top of what you've done at the office. So I guess maybe that is my advice to you, that you will actually learn that there's so much that happens behind as it pleases the court. Like, you don't just please the court, you have to please the court with your work. So that kind of knowledge will actually come from doing moot courts. You will get to know that. You will be eloquent. You will learn a lot of things about the court. It's a practical part of being a student and being a lawyer, you know. So that's the easiest way. Show determination. So this is to say that if you have applied for articles, because I know that a lot of people are actually looking for articles and they're struggling to get articles, but the truth is there's a certain element that principals want to see from candidates, and one of the elements they would like to see is determination. I'll tell you experience about my law firm is that one thing that my principal told us, that when he was hiring candidate attorneys, this was something that he looked for, and that all of us as candidate attorneys showed that determination. So that is, the minute you file your CV, you actually follow up, you come back after, they always don't have time, you know, they get to, you literally get on their neck, just stay here. It shows an element of being serious with your work. So I honestly feel like that's something that you should rather consider. Honestly, do consider that. Consider being persistent in what you want. Believe that you're worth it, and go for it. You know, that's an advice that I would also give to you. And good grades. Good grades is actually an element to consider. I actually put a question mark here because I want you guys to understand that a good grade is not a must, but it's required, you know. I mean, obviously, no principal wants to actually look at your transcript and they just see a lot of fails, or, you know, so a lot of second opportunities or whatever. But I'll tell you what, that, and I did say in one of my previous videos that I personally am not an academic. That I know for a fact. And I think that's what scared me about being in practice, because I was like, I'm not doing so well. Like, I'm really average. Not your 50s, but like, you know, I do make it to the 70s. I'm just not a distinction girl, you know. But yes, I think for me that scared me so much, that, oh wow, like, what if my transcript is going to be the reason that I actually don't get employed, you know. But the truth is, that wasn't such a factor, you know. It wasn't such a big factor, but it also differs from law firms to law firms, and I'll tell you this also in a practical example. So I think even before my principal saw my transcript, he had already, like, I was already employed before he saw my transcript, and that was not necessarily that he did not care. Obviously, I am done with my degree, and the fact that I have degree is enough to take you through, you know, to put you through in the working environment. And for him, he also knew that he will instill a certain knowledge. I think maybe it's also because that's what I'm saying, it actually differs from principals to principals. It differs from one person to another. But what I know is that, should I have a firm, grades are not going to be a must. Like, you're not going to have to be a distinction person to get to serve under me, you know. But the truth is, they do contribute to a certain extent, because with board exams coming up, you need to be able to be an academic, or to learn to be an academic. You know, there's so much pressure that comes with understanding things, so they're better if you understood them well in varsity, you know, as opposed to when you actually start learning at a later stage. So good grades are actually debatable. I know some people will actually tell you that no, you need to be really good, and I know some people will actually tell you that no, you need to be good at what you do. And this is why I'm talking about grades, right? I wasn't an academic, but I did well in practice, really well in practice, and I might be giving myself too much credit, but I did really well. For someone that was shocked and that didn't really understand what to expect, going from that academic route to the work environment, I think I did really well. My candidate, my articles were properly served, and I think I was under a good leadership as well, and that also contributed a lot in me actually believing that I can do this. Honestly, became really good. I also know how, if I remember, my COD experience was actually what confirmed that I'm actually doing really well, you know. I obviously got a lot of work done behind the scene, but also my presentation was just as good in court, because the documents were in order and everything was done properly, you know, most of the time. So the truth is, I had to establish myself when I got in practice, because I didn't even really know what is my best area of expertise. Because obviously when you get to do your articles, you actually get to I know some law firms rotate candidate attorneys. Some get to do maybe dispute resolution, some road accident fund, some family law, some criminal law, you know, and then they switch at some point, you know. So I guess that's what I did as well, because at some point I was doing road accident fund, at some point I was doing criminal, I was doing quite a lot of things, until I realized that actually my best area of expertise is family law, and that's what I stuck to, you know. I did so much of it actually during the period of my articles. So yeah, I guess that also assisted me a lot in learning what my area of expertise is. And when I did that, I actually became so good at it that I was just like, I can actually do my master's in this, you know. And yeah, and at that time, now my grades didn't even matter, because now I actually have my degree, Sana, you know. And yeah, I honestly really think that grades are necessary but not a must. But also don't slack, because I said that good grades actually are the first impression. And I'll give you an example with three of my other colleagues. You know, we were 3 candidate attorneys, and the first one was very determined, you know, in that when she was told that there's no space for candidate attorneys, there will be space next year, she followed up and came back, and you know, and her determination is what made her an asset to this law firm, you know. And then the other one, he is truly an academic and he's doing really well, you know, he had distinctions and whatever, and that made him an asset. And what do I have? I'm joking. So yeah, and I also showed some certain determination in that, and I was also known for my previous experience, you know, for the moot courts, for the debates, you know. That is what actually made me an asset to the law firm as well. So I honestly believe that in becoming a candidate attorney in South Africa, there are quite a lot of things to consider, but these are the most important things that I think have actually worked for me. I'll just go through them again. Firstly, do work, familiarize yourself with court, do moot court, show determination, good grades, you know. And yeah, I think this is the first part of the video where I actually talk about tips to secure articles. This is for you to be able to get articles. Try and consider this, try going to the courts, you know. And then on the next video, I will also be talking about becoming a candidate attorney in South Africa, just another element. So I really do hope that you guys understand this and understand how important it is for me to learn something from this. Personally, I feel like this was the information I was not given in the first place, but I'm so grateful to have learned for myself, and I'm also grateful that I can pass this knowledge to someone else, and I really do hope that it's actually very helpful. So I highly recommend that you actually go back to this video if you're considering doing your articles, and doing, there are quite a lot of things which we will get to at some point, that you do not necessarily need to be a candidate attorney. There's still pupillage to consider. I will not be talking about pupillage because I have never done it. I have no experience of it. So the people who have done pupillage will be talking about it in their channels. So, but yeah, if you want to go the candidate attorney route, then I highly recommend that you consider these tips. And it's very necessary for you to become an attorney in South Africa. You know, we need people like you. I hope this was inspiring. I hope this was helpful to one of the candidate attorneys. And I really do hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did filming it. I cannot wait to see you guys on my next video. Stay tuned, and please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in my next video. Bye!